This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Melina Sue of Oro Home Kitchen. Melina, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, we're looking forward to having this conversation, especially after you told me that Shannon nominated you. You said she was a customer of yours?
Yes, she's one of my customers. Yes, thank you.
So we love that. Shannon is our right-hand woman over here. Our business would not run without that wonderful individual. So we've gotten very tight with her over the years. I've been working with her for some time now, and she is the glue to me and my partner, keeping us boys in line. So she doesn't recommend too many people to come on the show. So that obviously means she thinks you're special. So I'm very much looking forward to diving in to your story, Melina. So let's start from the top. What do you do? What is Oro Home Kitchen?
Well, I started off about 2 years ago during COVID, and basically I used to do frozen dim sum and Chinese food that I make from scratch, and then I sell to the community frozen. And then as time progresses, I kind of turned into something that I've always wanted to do, was custom pastries, like cakes and cupcakes, and just a small batch, very like, how do I say it? Like very, like something very different than what you see out there. And I like to work with my customers as well on developing and creating something that they like. So more to do with some custom baking. And then I also do small events. I do cater to some retreats at one of the yoga studios that are around here, called Vicky Tree. And I also supply some of my cookies to a cafe in Collingwood, as well as cupcakes to another a flower farm that's also close to me as well in the community.
Wonderful.
So, thank you.
So custom baking.
Yes.
I didn't miss. Is there? So custom baking. So is there a storefront? Do you do it from home? How do we connect with you? Your website?
Yes, my website, through social media on Facebook or Instagram. I do work from home at the moment. I am permitted and licensed. So basically, it's a very small kitchen that I renovated for 8 months during COVID, just to get everything to code. And then I kind of started off from there. So it's quite a journey, and it's actually really fun chatting with a lot of my customers, and then kind of doing some really creative and sometimes crazy things that I've never done before. So we kind of create things together, and that's one part that I enjoy the most. A lot of people ask me, do you ever want to have your own restaurant or a bakery and do that kind of stuff? And I actually thought about it for quite some time, and I'm just, I'm not so sure, because I really enjoy the researching and then the creating new things. Whereas if you work in a restaurant or a bakery, a lot of the menu it's set, and you kind of do the same thing almost every single day, and you can't really do you can't really shine so much in terms of like where you want to, creating different really crazy stuff like I like and enjoy doing. So, I still go grocery shopping on my own. I buy everything and I touch everything. I'd like to look for some really cool stuff that's out there. One of my vendor carry French butters, and I really enjoy working with that. And I'm creating a product line with granolas, and I'm working with actually 2 suppliers that are around here. One's a maple syrup farm called Hutchinson's, and then also with Beamish honey as well. So kind of working 2 batches of different kinds of a really healthy granola, and also eventually adding a lavender granola, which I'm going to get the culinary lavender from a lavender farm around Oro as well. So that's where I am in Oro Medonte. So I'm doing a lot of really cool collabs with people, and it's really fun. They kind of sometimes they would approach me, sometimes I'll approach them, and we kind of create something that we could kind of collab together and create a product together. So, for example, Bear Pen Flower Farm, that's on Horseshoe Valley and 11th Line. She has a beautiful flower farm and a gift shop, which I've been a few times before. And she called me and said, "Hey, can I carry some of your flower cupcakes in my shop?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's perfect," because she does these beautiful bouquets of flowers, and I do these very realistic flower buttercream cupcakes that to go and match her flowers. So yeah, it the first time that we collabed was on Easter, and she ordered a whole bunch of cupcakes for me, and it got sold out in 2 days, which was amazing. And now we are talking about Mother's Day. So next week I have to come up with about 30 dozen cupcakes, and I won't be sleeping next week, but it'll be really fun. And because through her, then we kind of create something a little bit different out of the or like something completely different. Is her flavor is going to be a lemon curd, like a homemade lemon curd exclusive to Bear Pen Flower Farm, like things that I do to and be exclusive to different companies that I work with. So that's kind of fun. I also make these really healthy energy balls for Vicky Tree, which is a yoga studio that I cater to, that I mentioned a little earlier, and that's also exclusive to her and her customers, and it can only be purchased at her location. So yeah, it's kind of fun with all these fun collabs, and now we're doing Father's Day creations, and and then I actually approached Quail's Brewery, which is very close to me. I'm sure you know Quail's Brewery off at 11th or 12th line. And I'm thinking of using their beer to create a beer infused cupcakes for Father's Day. So, yeah, lots of fun things happening. We'll see what happens. I'm still trying to perfect the recipe. And so that's what I do. I create things and do collabs with local artisans and also little small and bigger businesses around me, and then kind of share it to the rest of the community. So yeah.
Beautiful. So custom baking, and you go directly to businesses, or do you sell to the consumer? Like, let's say I found out about you. Could I buy directly from you on your website,
You,
or do I have to go to a vendor?
you can definitely buy it from me, except for the exclusive stuff.
Exclusive
So,
stuff. Yeah.
right. So with Bear Pen Flower Farm, her exclusive flavor is the homemade lemon curd. I won't be able to make that for you, and you can definitely buy it from her. And I'm still kind of thinking about the whole beer and cupcakes thing, so that it's still kind of in the works. So I'm not sure where that one's going. But in terms of the granolas, um, with a few with Hutchinson's and Beamish Honey. I'm still looking for a really awesome packaging, so that is also still in the works. But uh, it's gonna come soon. I just want to be a little bit different from what's the packagings that are out there. Oh, I have a thing for packaging too. Aside from food, packaging is my second crazy, as some people would say, and that's also really important for me. I think presentation is really important to
Sure.
me. So
Absolutely.
yeah, so that is still in the works. So yeah, there's going to be a lot of events that we're planning with a few of the other vendors that I'm working with. For example, Bear Pen Flower Farm, we're going to have high tea, and we're going to have probably about two or three of them throughout the summer. And the menu is already set and tasted, so that's going to be a go ahead sometime in the summer. So like these really fun events that I'm trying to kind of get the community together, and yeah, and it's really fun. I do a lot of weddings as well too, like cupcakes and sweet tables and stuff like that. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love it. So tell us about what. So we like to ask about people's. I feel like this microphone's way too much in my face here. about the story behind people's journey, right? We communicate as humans through storytelling. It's a great way of communicating. And the why behind things is often a very curious and interesting, intriguing story. So I like to make it a two-part question because you run your own business. That's a difficult thing to do. I have a great level of respect for entrepreneurs. That's who I deal with day in, day out, just talking to entrepreneurs all day, every day for a little over a decade. And interesting different walks of life, but interesting different reasons as to why they decided to run their own business, as it's typically a harder path than being an employee. Some would say much higher risk, although I disagree with that. But it's a valid argument, as there's more risk being an entrepreneur, less certainty, and you have to learn more skills than being an employee. Whereas an employee, you have a very narrow path, do the 3, 4, 5 things that you need to do, and then continue to do that on repeat. Whereas an entrepreneur, you need to cook, you need to market, you need to balance books, you need to hire, you need to fire, et cetera, et cetera. So two-part question. What led you to wanting to create custom food for people, custom baked goods for people? And then the second part would be, what led you to being so passionate about it that you thought, I'm going to open my own business? Did you say you did it during COVID? Yeah, you did
Yes.
it during COVID.
Yes.
Right.
So
So what led you to this, Melina?
well, we moved up here about 3 years ago during COVID, and then to just to kind of get away from the city life. And
Mhm.
then I what I didn't really realize was that everything is just so far away. And I have 2 kids. My oldest son, he has autism, so I have to. There's a lot of meetings and everything to do with school and all that kind of stuff with him. So I can't really.
Mhm.
It's actually quite difficult for me to find a job here. Let's just say,
Okay.
because of the time with timing and because I have to be absent all the time. So I thought, well, since we're going to be refinishing the basement, why don't I just start my own business, right? So that's what that's what I did. Like I said, it took about 8 months for us to do to set up everything, and then and that way I can still drive my son to school, to and back from school, and
Mhm.
take care of all the meetings, and then I can work till wee hours in the night at home in my own comfort, which is wonderful. And I'm so grateful that I'm actually able to do something like this to yeah. And trust me, I really wish and love to be an employee sometimes, especially during tax season. I don't think
Oh
the
yeah.
accountant likes me with my 4 bags of receipts. So it's but it is absolutely rewarding at the same time, because I get to spend time with my family, and I get to do something that I absolutely love, and baking is definitely one of them. I am I am I do wake up at 2 a.m. in the morning sometimes thinking what color cupcakes I should be making next. Or, I walk through every single aisle in the grocery store, and I make sure that I, look at every single thing that I need to. It's just all sorts of crazy, pretty much. My birthday present usually from my husband is taking me out to a really nice grocery store. And that is
I thought you were going to say restaurant, not
oh, no,
grocery
no.
store.
It's definitely a grocery store. And I would drive all the way to my vendor in Mississauga just for my French butter, or I would try to search for this um, uh, uh, local grass-fed organic butter with a fat content of 86%, things like that. I've always loved doing things like that, and and I talk about it all the time, which is why I'm alone a
Well,
lot
then you
in
were
the basement.
I love, I love your dry humor. You're dropping these jokes, but your face stays completely stoic. Um, it sounds like you were meant to do this. I often wake up in the middle of the night. I'm like, got that idea.
Yep.
I talk about it all the time to people. When you're growing something that's like your baby, I don't have kids, so you know, I imagine children are much more important than business. look at parenthood as something to be revered. But while I don't have kids, this is this growing, breathing machine. And I do think about it a lot. So I want to get into a little bit about you, although you've already allowed us into your life a little bit with your kids and, working during the night and the kind of this obsessiveness about your business, waking up to it, which I think is fantastic and I can relate to it. But let's start with something a little bit playful. And I ask, the few hundred entrepreneurs that have come on our show, what do you do for fun? And I would say 70, 80% of them say, well, my business is so fun. And honestly, now that I've heard it so many times, I'm so thankful that there are so many people out there that enjoy what they do, because I think there's a much wider population of people that don't enjoy what they do.
Yes.
And that's a sad thing, because if you're doing 8, 9, 10 hours, 5 days a week of something, that's the only thing you're doing more than that is sleeping or breathing. Some people work more than they sleep. And if you're not enjoying it, it's not great. So I'm happy to hear that, but we want to hear about things outside of your business. So what puts a smile on Melina's face when not making baked goods for other people to enjoy? I saw the look on your face. Like, is there nothing outside of that?
Nothing.
There's got to be something.
It's a really tough one because I'm one person in the business at this moment, and I am the website designer to the accountant to the I do probably about 10 jobs. A lot of people would say spending time with the kids would be what they would really love, but I think, just to be very, very honest, I would just love to just be in a place where I can stare off into space and not think about anything for a little bit.
How long is that little bit? That sounds like some sort
Maybe
of
a day
meditation.
or two. Yeah, I think sometimes you just have to get out. And because I think I was talking to one of my colleagues, one of my partners I work with, I said, I would just love to not be at home, / my workplace sometimes, because when you're here, you always will think about work.
Yes.
Right? You see something out of place and you want to fix it or clean it or deal with it. But when you're away, out, doesn't really matter where, you're not there and you're not thinking about it and you don't have to deal with it. So I do take Tai Chi lessons at Vicky Tree, and that really helps with the meditation and just the whole breathing. And there would be times when during the meditation, my mind would drift off and think about work. And it's so great. The instructor will always bring you back. Don't think about work, and bring them back into the now. And I think for a lot of small business owners, that is definitely one thing that's really important mentally for all of us, because having time to ourselves is it's more of like sorry, I just blanked out for a second, but.
Well, I would say for me, it's like the brain is thinking so often when you run your own business and you're really proud of it. So my spiritual practices, whatever I choose to do, there are a number of them, but it's really just to calm my mind in the literal sense, bring my nervous system down, so that I cannot be as much on edge, in a more calmer place. So for me, going out to nature, my form of mindfulness meditation, lifting weights is huge, very meditative to me. I'm not thinking about anything else when you're under that kind of load and your body is burning in such a way. Cottages, nature really is one of the big ones, whereas working out makes sense. You're in pain, so there's no way you're going to be thinking about your taxes when you're going through pain, right? Your body's focused on the pain. So you're not lost in thought. But nature, there is no pain, there is no real stimulation to distract your mind from work. There's just something that washes away for me when I walk through those forests at any season, especially around animals and other people. There is this kind of, I don't know, I can't describe it any other way than this washing away of stress, bringing down my nervous system, going into that parasympathetic nervous system and being calm. So I get what you're saying when you say you just want to get away. What I'm curious is, where does Melina get away to if you were to get away? Is it a spa? Are you on a mountain? You on a beach, a forest? Where would you go?
I would probably get an Airbnb somewhere up north in a cottage, and just to be on my own, just to stare off in space, and without my phone, without anything, and it's just be really nice just for a couple of days of just nothing.
Peace.
Yeah, exactly. And
What?
especially no phone will be
Yes.
so.
What season is this?
I always love winter. I know people think I'm crazy, but partially I think because I don't like bugs in the
Sure.
summertime, but I really enjoy the Christmas time. The smell, everyone seems, except for the malls, everyone else seems to be very happy during around the Christmas time,
Mm.
and a lot of family get together. I'm a huge family person, and just the smell of the Christmas tree smell, the food, the baking. It's it's always I always love winter. I was just asking my husband the other day. I'm like, is there a place in like the world where it's always winter? I think we should just move there. And
Antarctica?
yeah, right. So they probably need some custom baking down there.
Sure, the penguins would love it out there. Those emperor penguins would probably love it. No, I think that's great. And, I'm a big fan of the winter as well. That crisp air, the
Yes.
forest that I talk about, I go in them in all seasons, but my favorite is the winter. We have these evergreens in there. And I don't know, I like feeling like I'm inside something. And when it's in the summer, I can see up to the sky. But in the winter, there's so much snow on the evergreen branches that they hang down, and they create like this cathedral roof over you. So I've always, I don't know why, I've always felt that way since I was a kid. I always made forts, things to go inside of. And there's just something so tranquil about a forest in the winter, all that white,
Mhm.
shiny snow, that crisp air. It's a little warmer in the forest because you're blocked from the wind. So I'm with you on that. I'm a big, big fan of my forest walks in the winter. I think that's very
Very nice.
cool.
Yes. And
Pivoting a bit from the fun stuff, we like to talk about hard things on this show. I have them tattooed on my rules on my arm, and number 4 is to do hard things so that I'm reminded of who I want to be, especially when that emotional turmoil bubbles up as an entrepreneur and everything's coming at me, pulling me, and I'm spread out too thin. My performance goes down. I have my reminder of who I want to be. I think it's easy to perform well when everything's going well. It's who are you when shit hits the fan, essentially.
yeah.
So I keep them there, but I remind myself that it's often the hardest things that we put ourselves through that provides the most opportunity for growth. I don't find myself growing when I'm sitting on the couch watching Netflix under a blanket, eating popcorn, super comfortable and seeking pleasure. I do find myself figuring out what I'm capable of, my worth, my impact on my community when I'm in uncomfortable places, whether voluntarily so, like maybe lifting weights or meditating or, doing a cold plunge, something like that. But also life will force upon you challenging experiences. One way or another, we don't get through this life unscathed. And we want to be a part of that trend that starts embracing these hardships in our life rather than looking at them as failures or reasons to think less of yourself, but more as, no, this is a vital part of you, not only to embrace it, but to feel empowered by it, because at the very least you survived it. So now you know more of what your strength is capable of, but you likely learned something along the way. We have this motto on our team that we're either winning or we're learning. And we do a lot more learning than winning in the business world, especially on the sales and marketing side of it. 70, 80% of people are going to say no to you. You're only going to work with 15 to 30%. So we are in the business of hearing no. That's a lot of rejection. And that's where the growth comes from. If we didn't hear no so often, we wouldn't have so many opportunities to learn. But people fall off because they take that rejection personally and think of themselves as less than and then they quit a business, a sales business. Any entrepreneur knows how often you hear no. So we like to ask the guests on the show. I like to provide a little context as to why am I, asking you to peel back experiences of your life. But I think the context provides some value. So we like to ask the guests on the show, are there any trials, tribulations, hardships that you've been through that you're comfortable with sharing with us that probably sucked when you went through it, as that's usually the symptom of doing something hard? It doesn't feel good. But when you look back in hindsight now, you wouldn't remove that ingredient from the soup that makes you you, because it's a vital ingredient and it has led you to enjoying your life as you do now. Anything come to mind?
I would say I was never trained as a pastry chef or a chef at all. Um, this was out of passion. And coming from I'm Chinese, so like an Asian family, they're very academics oriented. And um, when I was younger, I always wanted to be a pastry chef. I always wanted to do all that kind of stuff. And then, but it wasn't. It wasn't. I wouldn't say it was frowned upon in the Asian family, but they want you to go to university. They want you to have a degree. They want you to do all that kind of stuff. And I went through all of that, being very um, not small, but more like I didn't like what I was doing. Don't get me wrong. Everything that I've ever learned, I went to Ryerson. I took hospitality and tourism management, a little bit about food. Yes, absolutely. So the management part, I'm, but I was never really happy.
Mm-hmm.
And I never want to let my parents down by going to George Brown, which is a college, right? It's not a university, and take something that I'm actually passionate about. I couldn't do that in the past. Now I just don't have time. I would love to, but I just don't have time to do that. But then and then through life I kind of carry that within me, that it's like, okay, I always have to please other people, like my family, making sure that I'm making the grades and doing but then all failed. Everything that I've done failed. I never really have. I mean, I had great jobs. I have great management jobs. I was never happy, and a part of that led to family issues in myself with my previous ex-husband and stuff like that. So it kind of all tumbled into the craps, let's just say. And then you just kind of, step out of it. And then, with this whole move of coming up here and living in Oro, it's almost like rising up from the ashes. It's something similar. That's how I feel. I think that's the words I want to use.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say I'm so privileged to be able to do something like this. Not everybody there are able to follow their dreams or do their, to do what they really want to do, especially, at during this time, and then when it's really tough with the inflation, with the interest rates, and it's all very negative out there, right? And then and I'm able to again spend time with my family and do something that I love. And everybody that I speaks to, because I do a lot of events, so most of the, I would say 90% of the events are happy events, right? So everyone's very excited, and that feeling kind of like it makes me excited, right? And then when I get excited,
Sure.
we all get excited. We all create something really cool, and that's what I love about the business. Do I regret about the past that I didn't go to George Brown or took, chef's course or programs? Yes and no, but I think I'm doing pretty good. But what was it difficult? Yes. And are my parents proud of what I'm doing now? Yes. Yes, they are. They're quite happy with where my business is going, and it's kind of glowing around the community, so which is nice. But yeah, there are some dark times in the past, and now I'm in the light. So
Do you think you needed to go through those dark times to get to this happier place? And
I think so.
before I even say happier place, are you in a happier place?
Yes, for sure. It is so much fun doing what I do, and I just want more. And I'm craving for more. I just feel like sometimes there's not enough hours during the day, and I love to bring some of my joy and some of the creativity to the communities around here and trying to help. We're doing some fundraising for a lady who is starting up a dog rescue, just stuff like that. Just working with other one of my colleagues, like from the lady from Bear Pen Farm, we're going to create some things that will include other people in the kind of in a not a little, I wouldn't say a little group because it's not like that. We'd love to just open it all up to people and doing collabs everywhere and having everybody shine at the same time. So because why not, right? And some people, they would ask me, "Are you not afraid of competition?" There's plenty of business for everybody. Everyone has their style, I would say, right? So I've recommended a lot of customers to my like other people that does similar things around me because they're a different style, and why not, right? We're all a community, and it's great to promote each other. I think that would be.
I love that mindset. And I think that thinking, what about competition? I think it's very limited because when there's one fitness place in town, that's it. That's your baseline. You don't know any better or any worse. You just know that. But if a new fitness place comes in and it's a little better, then that old fitness place better do something to bring up their quality. And then they bring up their quality. And then you do this for 25 years. And all of a sudden, you are impacting lives on such a greater scale because everybody's forced to evolve. And I think that's just how it goes in life. We're meant to get better from our parents and their parents and their parents. Same thing should be with our business. Hopefully, same thing with our economy. Same thing with the way we treat each other. But I just think it should be this natural evolution. And I really do believe that the pie is big enough for all of us. If we continue to provide more value and find better ways to impact more people, use our creativity, use new tools like AI and new technology as it's constantly changing. If people are willing to embrace new technology and new ways of thinking and new modalities, then we can help people more. And I do believe there is enough space for all of us.
And more. And honestly, it's just so nice to find that sometimes when you talk to someone and they've been in their business for such a long time that I don't want to say it gets, I don't want to say it gets boring, right? It's kind of less, it's a bit more dull. But then when you start really getting, I'm sorry?
It can get monotonous, yeah.
Exactly. But then when you start, I think a lot of people don't understand the power of conversations sometimes, and it's you can really draw out that passion again, and you can kind of see that in the other person, and but the thing is, you have to do it first.
You have to start the conversation.
That, and you have to show your passion first. Usually, I feel for it to kind of draw it out from the other person, and it's nice when it becomes when it syncs together.
I'm glad you think that. I think conversation is something that's often overlooked. And really, could you imagine our lives without meaningful conversations? What would be removed from the quality of it? I think a massive, massive piece. And that's what we do. We're storytellers. That's the whole point of this. Deep conversations. I'm a counselor at an addictions facility on the weekend called Cornerstone Recovery. And it just fills my cup up insanely. I work like you do, kind of day and night, Monday through Friday, and often on weekends whenever I can. No wife, no kids. So this is my baby. And then I go over there on the weekends and all we do is have hard conversations, really meaningful. What's the point of life? How do we get through this stuff? Conversations, try to impact each other. And sometimes they can be draining, but most of the time they are revitalizing and energizing and make my life feel more meaningful because I'm connecting to so many more people all through conversation. So I'm really glad you brought that up because I do think it is something that isn't discussed quite enough. Just the power in being curious about another human being, see where that takes you, often to a very beautiful place. So I love that you brought that up, and we're comfortable enough to share some of the hardships that you've been through going through school and expectations through parents and people pleasing, to now finding your space, finding your way to a place of a greater level of happiness and creativity and helping the community. I think it's a great transformative journey in a sense.
I agree, and there's just so much more to do and so much more to kind of find out there. Even though Ormondonte, it's not a huge city, it's or town, um, but there's just so many people that's just trying to shine, right? And it's really fun actually looking for these local artisans and see what they really do, and some of them are just so interesting, and it's just so nice to be able to do collabs and just help everyone shine together as a community. You can't really do I don't think you can really do that in the city, because there's just so I I can't really describe it. I think in the city it's just too chaotic.
Well, it
Or
seems like there's this dog eat dog
right.
stereotype of the city, and I believe there's some validity to that argument. In Simcoe County, it is a special place. It
Yes.
really is, and it seems to be more of that local family, let's get together, make something great together vibe, which I
Yes.
did not get when I was in the city. It really seemed like everybody's sticking to their own thing. Not for everybody, but it seemed like, at least from my experience, it sounds like from yours, it's what can I take? What can I get? What can I get for myself? Whereas in Barrie, in Simcoe County, in Oro, and Springwater, Midhurst, it seems like a lot of people think about what can I give? And those
Mhm.
are two totally different worlds to me, and why I find myself in Simcoe County as I do now compared to the city.
Exactly. I feel the same. Like just the community getting together and helping each other, going to these events are it's so great, and I love that, and I love that whole community thing. Um, so I don't think I ever want to leave. I think I still have PTSD from moving up here. I still have boxes that says random crap in my storage unit that's not opened for 3 years. But it's a great community, and I absolutely love it here, and people are just so kind and so nice,
Mhm.
and and yeah, and I hope it stays this way.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it really is a special place. You got a little bit of mountain, you got a whole lot of water, you got a whole lot of forest, you got the city if you want it, you got the rural properties if you want it, you got
Yes.
the cottage right down the street, you got the Toronto city right up the road if you want it. And something like 600,000 people, maybe more, across Simcoe County, thousands of businesses. I want to say 4 or 5 thousand businesses the last time I checked, all different types, many of them local, less big box stores, certainly, than where I live close to the city in Aurora. Um, it's just a special little hub. And although it is growing at a pretty fast clip, it seems to be like those principles that made Simcoe County what it is are rooted deeply and are staying, which is why I'm digging my roots in and have been for a little while. But back to business, all the information that you know, and all the pastries and baking that you've sold and dealt with these businesses, if you could distill it all down to one thing you wish our audience knew about Oro Home Kitchen, what would it be?
I think it would be probably I just love connecting with people. And for me, connecting with people is through food,
Hmm.
like breaking bread. And that is the best thing that I want to say that I'm taking out of my business, out from my business, is talking to people when they, when someone emails me and asking to do a custom cake. I'm like, call me, let's talk, right? To getting to know the other side, and not just creating something fun together, but actually having a connection. To me, that's really important between me and my customers. So that's why I have a lot of great customers that always loves me, and we come back together because we have great conversations. So I would say, yes, my stuff tastes really good too, but I love conversations.
I love that. It's a way of connecting. It's almost like a love language. People display their love or their care for the world in many, many different ways. Food is a common one. My grandmother, that's what she did. She wanted you to eat until you would explode. Didn't care the damage it was doing to your body. It was just like, the more food I can give you, the more you know that I love you. Old traditional Eastern European, little bit different these days. I'm not going to force you to eat until your belly bursts, but that was her way of just like over loving you. And food, not only is it a necessity of life, but it's one of the life's greatest pleasures. So I love that you use that as your way to connect with other people, and that you enjoy connecting with people so much. I think it's fantastic.
Well, I told actually my colleague from Bear Pen Flower Farm, I said, would love to do an event sometime in the summertime. I want to call it Breaking Bread. And I would love to invite all the local vendors and artisans just to come and to chat about their products. And even if we can collab or not, it's just nice to know who's out there, who's around us, and let's chat, right? Let's eat and chat.
It's great. What's the best way for people to find out about Oro Home Kitchen, Melina?
Right now, I'm more old school. So Facebook, I'm a bit more active on Facebook than Instagram.
Okay.
So my Facebook page is Oro Home Kitchen, and my website, I try my very best to update it all the time, but time is not on my side a lot. But definitely on Instagram and Facebook.
You planning on getting some help over there at some point, or are you going to keep it a one-woman show?
I'd love to eventually have my own place, a brick and mortar place. It's being discussed. We don't know what's going to happen yet, but as of right now, it's just still me, and it's great. Thank you.
Yeah, many of us starting off that same way. It makes the journey so much more interesting. I think it makes many of us more passionate about it, and I do look back on that phase of my journey with quite a smile. So your Facebook, Oro Home Kitchens. Your website is Oro Home. Sorry, I'm putting an S on it. It's Oro Home Kitchen.
Yes, orohomekitchen.ca.
Okay, .ca, and then Oro Home Kitchen on Facebook or Instagram, and then they can also Google you. Well, Melina, it was great chatting with you. You definitely brought a smile to my day. I think you're great at connecting. It's very easy to speak to you. And I just, although you taught us a lot today, my main takeaway was really just connecting with people through the pleasure of baking, which I think is just fantastic. And I love that you've made that kind of your purpose in a way. And your business has become your baby. It's very cool. I appreciate you coming on the show.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Absolutely. You have a great day.
You as well. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com, or call 705-413-3775.